Hey, everybody, welcome to TV Chef Fantasy League, the podcast that's basically like Hot Ones, just without the hot wings or the celebrities. I'm your host and commissioner, Mike Cablon. With me are my co-hosts, Sierra Kato and Ithi Wadiwe, both zooming in and both with the most chaotic Zoom screens I've ever seen. Folks, just as a reminder, you can watch us on YouTube at TV Chef Fantasy League, and I would recommend checking out this week's episode on YouTube just for the fact that Sierra has a soccer ball-sized microphone in front of her. And if he
Yes.
is zooming in from a bed, but we can't see his bed because he has the Gundam background on, so we're just at
Yeah.
like this Jabba the Hutt angle. I gotta hear about both these. Sierra, tell me about this microphone.
Yes. So it's a an add-on to a microphone that insulates a little better, the noise. It's like kind of got its own thick sound absorbing walls built into this ball that you place over. And I it's hopefully gonna help because I have a portable AC. It's pretty hot here in Los
Okay.
Angeles, California. It's like supposed to get up to like 104 or something where I'm at. So
Yes. Yeah.
we're
Boiling hot today.
Val has kindly allowed me to keep this guy running, and it's a little loud. So hopefully this extra insulation ball helps filter that out.
Wow. I can't imagine 10 inches of foam won't help.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Okay, Iffy, you're zooming to us from London. Tell us what's happening over there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm coming from the Victory House Hotel in Leicester Square. I did my show. It went great. And it's this hotel doesn't have like a desk area, so I'm forced to just kind of be in this lounge mode. But
Is it
but you
like one of those like pod hotels where it's like the room is just kind of like the size of the bed and then like a shower and a toilet?
well, kind of a no. Like it's a decent sized hotel room. They
Okay.
just don't have like a full chair and desk area.
Oh, I
It's
see.
either like it would just be sitting on my lap, and I was like, well, if it's gonna be sitting on my lap, it might as well just be sitting on my chest while I lay down.
You might as well get
Um,
comfy.
Sure.
yeah, might as well just lay out. But yeah, it's like a pretty big bed. I mean, it is two doubles pushed together, which, as you know, me and M has been dealing with the crevasse just
Uh-huh.
falling
Uh-huh.
into the middle
I
through the
kind
middle of
of
my.
I kind of like the crevasse because it allows you to spoon while having your arm not be awkwardly
Whoa.
wedged. You know what I mean? Your arm can just
Oh
be
yeah,
underneath the whole situation.
yes, in theory. This one keeps spreading and I
Oh
keep
no.
falling
Oh
and
no.
till fall into the ditch.
Yeah.
But yes,
All right,
but
great.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah, hit us with the London food scene report.
Okay, so we got some. I know both of y'all are chef table fans
Yes.
in the
Mm.
building, so I went to Darjeeling Express
Nice.
with Chef Asma Khan.
Uh-huh.
And I was there eating, and like someone came up and recognized me from Dropout, and I don't know how word got back to her that I might be someone of note, but
Oh.
she came
Oh.
up to me and said, "I hear you're doing a show," and she was very great and thanked me for coming. It was like really, it was like like, people come up and ask for like, autographs every now and then, but that was the first time I like really felt like a celeb when the chef
Wow,
came and
yeah.
introduced
Oh.
and then post me to her story before I could post her to mine.
No
It was a very
way.
good experience. Food out of this world amazing. It's very simple. You pick your main and your second, and then everything else is included. You get three pieces of dessert. You get all of the sides. You put it all in the plate. It is so amazing. If you're out here, definitely worth making the trek over to Leicester Square so you can check out Darjeeling Express.
Wow. That what
Wow.
a plug. What a plug. Now I feel like a
Yes.
fool for having not gone when I was in London mere weeks ago.
Oh yes, you sure were just out here.
Yeah.
Well, gotta
That's
come
fully
back.
on me.
Well,
Yeah,
gotta go back.
exactly. All right, look, we've got two episodes to cover, and they're both big, juicy episodes. So let's dive right in. Let's start the first episode. I'm going to call it the Hot Ones episode because that's what it is. The first thing I want to talk about is Joe's outfit. Kind of crazy, right? Is it? Oh, wait. Okay, sorry. Let me back up. Iffy has not seen this week's episodes because he is traveling.
Yes.
So everything that
Yes.
Sierra and I are going to talk about is news to Iffy. So, Iffy, let me set the stage for you here. Picture
Please.
Joe with his bald head and his wildly variable facial hair. And his suit, he's wearing a suit, and his shirt is early 2000s blue Does that make sense? Like a JCPenney catalog shade of blue.
Oh yeah.
No
I'm
tie.
picking up what you're putting down.
And then the suit is a black suit with like nacho cheese Dorito colored sort of like a plaid, like a big plaid checkerboard. If you're having a hard time picturing it, you're correct.
Oh yeah, no, it's you see
Hmm.
because super producer Val, luckily she sent over these notes, and one of the notes is Joe's outfit is crazy with 5 A's. So that's how I know
Yes. Yeah.
this was a
5A
terrible
level
fit.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
I may
Uh,
be just completely alone on this, but honestly, I didn't even notice. I
wow.
think
Wow.
I'm just maybe just like I was so excited to see the special guest judge, or
Sure.
yeah, who knows? I don't know. It didn't register.
Where's your like bar for menswear at? Like,
Right.
what's
I think I know
Dylan walking
nothing.
around in, and then
Oh,
how do
oh,
you feel
sure.
about how his style?
Yeah, he's more like streetwear, I guess, like
Okay.
casual. So I don't think he wears nacho cheese plaid suits. But yeah, no, I guess I'm pretty in the dark about all things fashion, maybe. So maybe when I see a man on TV wear something crazy, I'm like, sure,
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
maybe
That's
that's how
okay.
you do it. Uh-huh.
Dylan's a lucky, lucky man.
Sure. I think he has good stuff going on, I'm sure. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've only met him a handful of times, but he's always been dressed great every time I see him.
I'll let him know. He'll be pleased.
Thank you so much. Thank you for passing that along. Okay, let's move on to the actual substance of the episode. The contestants come out. The mystery boxes are on fire, Iffy. They're fully just flames. And knowing what we know about production, I'm like, I can't imagine how many takes it took to set all these on fire at the same time, have everyone walk in, have them walk out, do it all again. You know what I mean? It seemed like a huge to do. Uh,
Also, you just have like the safety meeting. I just know that there was
yes.
a
Yeah.
huge safety meeting. Where it's like, all right, we're gonna have flaming boxes.
Uh-huh.
Make sure we're being safe when the flaming boxes fly in.
Yeah. No loose articles of clothing, no ties, keep the
Yes,
hairspray to a minimum, that kind of thing.
Mert, Mert, watch
Eyes
yourself.
on you, Mert.
Yeah,
Yeah,
specifically. Actually, Horacio, not to spoil, was the one who was having trouble with the fire.
Yeah.
Classic Horacio.
That one I felt weird about. So they made them blow out the fires like a birthday candle, and Horacio couldn't really do it. And I'm like, this man is old. Stop making him use his lungs. This is
yeah, he
Oh,
doesn't
cruelty.
have the
yeah.
lung strength.
Also,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't know what it was, but it felt like, it's like the kind of thing where where liquor is on fire, where like it's like
Right.
flame fluid, and it'd
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like, what if
yeah.
they blow that onto somebody or like onto the
Yeah.
wall and it all burns down, the end of MasterChef.
Yeah, yeah. So they announced right up top that it is a double elimination, and the challenge is to use at least 3 items from the mystery box, which is full of hot stuff. They got peppers, they got hot sauce, they got spices, which at first I was like, that's too much. But then you see there's also like hot honey and like mustard and stuff that like isn't really hot. It's just sort of like spiced. You know what I mean? Um, so I was like, that feels doable. At first I was like, this is like my mom's worst nightmare. She's not a spicy food person, but like
Ooh,
mustard, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know. I know. Filipinos are like secretly some of the only Asians that don't really fuck with spice. You know what I mean?
The
yeah,
secret's out.
Yeah,
yeah. The secret's
exactly.
out. Everyone
Um,
knows.
how are you guys with spicy food? I think we've talked about
Oh,
this.
yeah. I'm Nigerian spice levels, which
Yeah.
are just beyond like obscene,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. If you've ever been to Songnong-dan
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh yeah. In
Koreatown,
Koreatown, yeah.
yeah, me, and our friend Arthur went, and we had the spiciest level, and like the Korean like waiter was impressed by us, and that's like
Mm.
still something I'm prideful about.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. You should be. I think that's a good metric to be like, hey, listen, I don't know how good I am, but this happened to me. And then everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a
Yeah.
standard metric we can really judge
Yeah,
off of.
I've definitely been to like a Thai restaurant before and been like, I'll do the Thai spicy, and the server will look at me, a fellow Asian, be like, no, you can't. You're
Yeah,
simply
I mean,
not.
yeah, Thai goes hard for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sierra, how
Yeah.
are you with spicy stuff?
I think I'm okay. Honestly, like I kind of have to build up tolerance and it,
Hmm.
waxes and wanes like the
Hmm.
moon. But actually Dylan's very into hot ones specifically, and he will get a lot of hot sauces. So we have a whole shelf of hot sauces.
Whoa.
And oftentimes if we go out to eat, he will get definitely the spiciest. I'll go more medium
Sure.
probably.
Yeah.
And then they'll always serve me the spiciest. And then I'll be like, hey, it is actually the white man
Please
in
don't.
this case. So sorry. So sorry to subvert that.
Yeah,
But
no.
yes.
I get that with usually like the drinks, because like Laura will order, like a beer or like a normal
Oh, yeah.
drink. And if there's like a fruity thing on the menu, I'm the first one to be like, yeah, give me the thing with like passion fruit or lychee or whatever in it. And then they will always put them in front of the wrong person. Then we just got to switch them back around.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that Dylan is a big fan. You know who else is a big fan of our guest judge this week is Haley and Adam, who both said that they were big fans when Sean Evans, the host of Hot Ones, was introduced. My reaction was like, why is Hot Ones so popular with Gen Z? I thought, like, to me, Hot Ones feels like such a millennial thing. It's like very of our
Right.
age bracket, and I was shocked that like Gen Z is still like, whoa, Hot Ones is like the thing,
Yeah, I think they're kind of keeping the torch going, and that's why
Mhm.
it's so big right now. Is because of how much they like Gen Z digs it.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Yeah.
They
Good.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, just yeah, good testament having the two Gen Zers stick up for him.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So they both get the half point there. They highlighted that Gordon Ramsay's been on the show, although they only showed clips from one of his episodes. And I don't know if you guys watch Hot Ones, but he's done two. And the second one was so much fun because he really like, once again, Gordon Ramsay is the master of like, let's just make good television. And he brought like a bag of anti-spice things,
Oh
like
yeah,
milk in like a fire extinguisher shaped dispenser, and like he had
Fun.
crazy things, and it was like so wacky and over the top, but also so fun.
that's my boy G Ramsey.
Have you checked out any of his restaurants while you're in London?
No, that's probably the last stop we're gonna have to make before we leave.
Yeah, man, not like the three Michelin star restaurants, but just a quick, Gordon Ramsay burger or Gordon Ramsay fish and chips or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's gonna be because I'm sure it's like a huge tourist attraction, but I
Hmm.
do think we can be able to hit at least one Gordon Ramsay restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so many that's kind of like you could throw a rock and hit one. Won't be that hard to, get in somewhere. But report back. Let us know if you're able to make it before you leave.
Oh, I'm locked in.
Kamei gets her advantage from winning last week. Her advantage is she gets to ice out one person for 5 minutes, which means their burners are off. They stop cooking for 5 minutes. Um, Kamei, I think I was kind of two minds about her demeanor in this episode. At first, I was like, oh, she's kind of low energy up on the balcony. But then when she was like deciding who to ice out, I was like, oh, this is very like cerebral, analytical Kamei. I feel like this is how she is in the courtroom. I don't know. What did you think,
Ooh,
Sierra?
strategy. Yeah. No, I didn't even think. I was also just really fixated on like, wow, this is quite an advantage because I kind of expected it to be more like, oh, you pick them at the top so that they know they have 5 less minutes.
Right.
That's already a disadvantage in and of itself. But the fact that
Hmm.
she could just call it at any point
Hmm.
when they were at any stage,
Hmm.
at least the burners go off because then, it can be like, oh, your meat's on. Okay, time to
Right.
fry it for 5 minutes.
Right.
But yeah, so I was like fixating on that. But for her, I mean, I also was like, it's Kamei. She's gonna know exactly when to put this down. So I was yeah, I had a lot of confidence that she would be able to make it hurt where it mattered.
I felt that way too. And yet she targeted Becca. She said, I wanted to hone in on Gen Z. And Becca prepared. So if you
Yeah.
get this, Becca was like, I know there's a target on my back. So I'm going to do extra prep work now so that if slash when I get iced out, I'll be fully prepared. And sure enough, she got iced out. And she was like, okay, well, the plan is in place. All my prep work is done. I just have to move a little bit faster.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like Becca. Becca is kind of one of the true shining stars at this point, and
Hmm.
that's such a baller move to just do, where it's like, okay, I know I'm probably gonna get iced out, so I'm gonna prep instead of it. And it kind of shows the balancing almost of these moves, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, you can target someone, but if you're smart, you can get around the targeting.
Hmm. Yeah, and she still landed like in the middle, not the top nor the bottom. She's fighting with one arm tied behind her back. She's still doing great. Um, Her reaction to getting iced out was, "What the junk? What the actual
Oh yeah.
junk?" Which feels like a very Utah Mormon kind of thing.
It was pretty funny. Yeah. safe for television, safe for
Yeah.
Mormonism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we got some crap and dang out there, but I feel like crap might be a bad word for the
Yeah.
Mormon
Mm.
community. What
Yeah.
the crap?
What the crap?
Yeah. You have to be
Dang.
really creative. Even if like shoot is, I feel like kind of like a no-no.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
It's tough,
Too
but the
close for
junk,
comfort.
all good.
Let's dive into the closer looks for this episode, which it belonged to the Spice Boys, as they were dubbed. As Val pointed out, this is the first all-male top 3 that we've had all season. There has not been an all-female top 3 this season. Although, if I had to guess, I think the finale is going to be Kamei, Rebecca, Becca, and that to me is like that's an all-female top 3 that I feel very confident will happen at some point. You know what I mean?
That's a good assessment. Yeah, those are kind of the front runners.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Anyways,
that's a safe bet.
yeah, sorry. So the closer looks were Mert, again, still staying on top here with his seared pork chop with a bourbon, hot honey glaze, onions, parsnip puree, side of mustard greens.
Kamei changed him.
She kind of did. I think Mert has like been unlocked, and as we'll see later, he's kind of getting you a lot of points. So he's really living up to your how you believed in him up top.
Kurt, thanks for listening. I officially take back everything I
Wow.
said. You're
Wow.
showing up for me, my boy. You're showing up.
A 180.
He's
I
gonna
do
be
feel
so
like
happy.
we've watched Mert like grow up on, when you watch like a child actor who's like grown up on camera, it's like we've really seen his character development over time. Came in strong as like a villain, and now it's just like, oh, that's just lovable Mert.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of part of the maturity factor, maybe. It's like he's kind of been humbled, but then he has bounced back from it.
Yeah. He's got the chops, he can walk the walk. He just needed to learn how to talk less talk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this about Mert of all people, but there actually wasn't a lot to say. It was just kind of like he cooked, it was good. That's all it was, Next up on the top was Michael with his hot honey shrimp and grits with Calabrian chili and a Creole tomato gravy. During the cook, Kamei noted that he was moving really fast. She said, Mike is on Speedy Gonzalez time, which I love a good millennial reference like Speedy Gonzalez. I think we were the last generation to grow up with Looney Tunes as a real point of reference. I only bring this up because it is not the same as saying he's going so fast up there, which only applies to cooking demonstrations.
Correct.
I mean, we can get points for saying Michael's going so fast, but no, Kamei, Michael, no one there is getting points there. However, Michael does get a half a point for saying, I don't cook with this a lot. He was talking about spice. So this is not his comfort zone. He gets a half point there, but he churns out a really good dish. I mean, it looked good. Sierra, what did you think of this dish?
Oh yeah, it was great. And like it, I felt like that's a really hard dish to make and to make well. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, as Gordon pointed out, this is usually a 3-4 hour dish. He did it in 45 minutes. Here are the 2 compliments that I wrote down. Joe called it one of the most sophisticated and restaurant-worthy shrimp and grits dishes we've seen in the history of MasterChef. And I was like, that's impressive.
In the whole history of MasterChef.
Yeah.
In like, 14 seasons. This is the best shrimp and grits he's seen. And then Aaron Sanchez says, this is in the top 3 shrimp and grits he's ever tasted. And
wow.
I just want to remind the audience, Aaron Sanchez owns restaurants in New Orleans. He lives in the South. And this is top 3 for him he's ever tasted.
He loves it.
Sorry, I got distracted by it. Yeah, so high praise for Michael with his shrimp and grits. And finally, rounding up the top, we got Adam with his jerk chicken in a Scotch bonnet marinade, cheesy hot honey cornbread, pineapple, banana, pepper slaw, and a yogurt herb sauce. He does get a half point because he said 2 things that still only count as one single half point, which is he hasn't worked with Scotch bonnets before because he doesn't have it where it's from, or it's hard to get where it's from. He's the only one who chose to work with Scotch bonnets, but he felt pretty confident, and they said it was perfectly balanced. Here's the crazy compliment I wrote down here. Sean Evans said, I do not throw around compliments like this, but this might be the best cornbread I've ever had in my life. And then he asked the producers if he could get some to go, which is crazy. We've really set a high bar with these dishes.
Yeah. These are all like, again, very have, I mean, they talked about it. They're like, I've eaten a lot of things, they're all
Mhm.
in the food. I mean,
Mhm.
Sean Evans being somebody who, probably has been wined and dined as of late. So it's
Yep.
like pretty crazy. This is like one of the best, yeah, turnouts I feel for the
Yeah.
season.
One of the best showings, it sounds like, too.
Yeah, definitely. I am kind of
Mert included in it.
just no discounts, no caveats. Mert is included in. This is one of the best showings. Yeah, once he said it was the best cornbread he's ever had, I was surprised, but then I was like, oh no, Adam cooks at like a camp or like a ranch or something like that.
Oh yeah, Dude Ranch.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, that's actually kind of not surprising. That feels like the kind of place where you're making a good cornbread. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So they said it was really good, and Adam ends up winning. So Adam wins what they say is the last advantage of the season, meaning from here on out, everyone's just competing kind of raw. Down at the bottom, we have Haley with her spicy fried chicken, lemon wasabi rice, seared spicy bok choy, and a Chinese honey mustard sauce. The sauce, she described her own sauce as interesting. On the walk around, they're like, how do you feel about your sauce? She's like, it's interesting. And Joe was like, I think interesting is a good word for it. And I feel like if you're describing your own dish as interesting, that means, it's not good, which is a bummer. It was Haley's first time in the bottom. And she said she was a big fan of Sean Evans, so it's a little bummer that
Oh
she's,
yeah.
yeah. Joe said the overall sensation I'm getting is dryness. They said the chicken was overcooked. The rice was overcooked and bland. There wasn't enough sauce. Sean Evans said it's like eating spicy sand.
Oh, that was rough.
That is so rough. I
I
mean, spicy
know.
sand.
Spicy sand coming from this, hero. I think also when they were walking around doing the closer looks, like, she's cooking, and then they're like, Gordon joked, like, if you win this, Sean will have you on her show or something. And she like
Yeah.
wide-eyed kind of looked up. And it's like,
Yeah.
obviously, like, I don't think she believed it, but it was kind of like, don't play with her emotions like that. She's cooking.
Yeah. Yeah. This is her hero. She loves this man.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's always the wildest one on cooking competition shows when someone's like, I really look up to this person, and you just fumble it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, oh, this hurts even more. It
Yeah.
hurts because you're in the bottom. Hurts even more you're at the bottom in front of someone you look up to.
Yeah.
Totally.
And none of us drafted Haley. Technically, none of us should care, but I am still just like, oh, I feel so bad for her,
Yeah. I feel like that's probably also why, because she's a strong cook. She's been pretty
Yeah.
good throughout. I think
Yeah.
it could be that it was the nerves of like, here's somebody she doesn't care about Gordon Ramsay or the other two.
Right. Yeah.
She's like more, the younger YouTube audience.
Yeah.
Sean Evans is the guy.
He's the guy. Also on the bottom, we have Kimberly with her cayenne fried chicken sandwich, roasted jalapeno slaw, cayenne kale chips. Okay. This one I feel a little iffy about because the big narrative they were pushing is that a chicken sandwich is not like top 10 of MasterChef. It's like, it's not a top 10 dish. You got to try harder. But here's the thing. Rebecca also did a chicken sandwich, and we didn't see any of Rebecca in this episode. So I'm like, why is there this double standard about
Oh.
chicken sandwiches here? Did you pick up on that, Sierra?
No, I totally didn't. But like, that kind of brings me back to maybe what we were talking about how, like, if you don't, they sometimes have an agenda for who they want to eliminate or put on the bottom or whatever. So
yeah,
this could fit
Well-
into that, where they, if you can't really pinpoint why exactly, like, this might be, maybe they had other reasons.
I also wonder if they do hold Rebecca to a higher standard because she has cooking competition experience. And like, this is one of those times where like that is pointed specifically at her.
Right. It's like, you should know better. It's like the older, like all the kids got in trouble, but the older kid, it's like, you should know better.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Kimberly knew that she was on the bottom. She wasn't proud. She said, this is not me on a plate. Her side was kale chips, and Aaron Sanchez brings up this point where he's like, he just gets on his soapbox for a second. He's like, just as a general trend, I wish kale chips would go away. It's like for every 10 of them, you maybe get one that's good. And I had never thought about it before he said anything, but once he said it, I was like, yeah, kale chips do suck.
Yeah, especially I think because we were getting this sort of like dry theme of like spicy sand, and like, make sure if it's spicy, it actually has some like balance. And yeah, kale chips are just like dryness being dry.
Like dry and greasy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, they said that Kimberly's sandwich was overcooked. There was no heat. Joe said the only thing that's good is the bun, and you didn't make that. So she is
Oof.
on the bottom. Harsh. Rounding out the bottom, we have Warren with his Brazilian fish stew with prawns and halibut, rice and avocado. He said Brazilian fish stew. Look, I know I talk about Below Deck all the time on this fucking podcast, but I was like, that's moqueca. And I know that because of Chef Kiko from Below Deck. So shout out to Chef Kiko for teaching me what moqueca
Hey.
is. But yeah, I don't know what happened here. They came around while he was cooking and they're like, you should put the chilies in earlier so that it imparts more flavor and cook it longer. And Warren's like, yeah, I've got a plan. And then when they tasted it, they were like, this isn't cooked enough. It kind of just tastes like you put fish inside of tomato soup. Like it doesn't taste like a stew. That flavor didn't develop. You know what I mean?
Yikes. Yeah, I feel like it was like he kind of was doing the, oh yeah, but I got it. Like this is gonna be good. And I was like, okay, I believe you,
I
So
wanted to believe him.
yeah, I guess in this
Yeah.
case it wasn't
Yeah,
like
and
the cabbage.
it always is wild when they try and give you a hint and they don't follow it. They're like, "Hey, we
Mhm.
tried to help you out,"
Yeah,
and it seems like you didn't listen.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It makes me wonder how often dishes would be bad, but because they followed some advice in the moment, they're like, "Oh, thank God I listened." You know what I mean? Thank God I put those chilies in earlier or
Oh, I'm
whatever.
sure. Yeah,
Oh,
they
I
give good
imagine it's
advice.
often, yeah.
Yeah. Um, sorry for the pause. I lost my place.
That's all
Warren
good.
did Warren did lose a point because he said on his way up, he said, "This is a dish that I make all the time. How could
Oh
I blow
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
dish?" So that is -1 point because he said I make it all the time, and he landed on the bottom. So sorry, Sierra, that is -1 for you.
All good.
So at the bottom we have 2 dry chickens and one soup that they described as hospital food while they were deliberating.
Oh.
And the eliminations go to the chicken girls, Kimberly and Haley, which means that Gen X is the first generation to be completely eliminated from the competition. There are no more Gen
Ooh.
Xers left on the show. Gen Z is finally down to 3. They still have the biggest team, but they're down to 3 now. And I wrote that Haley still shot her shot at being on Hot Ones on her way out the door. I didn't write down exactly what she said, but as she was shaking hands with Sean Evans, she was like, if you ever need someone on the show, just call me or something like that.
Hey, you
When
got to
she
shoot your
needed it.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well, It's like, hey, let me hop on there. Let me get the shot.
It's not going to happen
Right.
unless you ask for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You never
exactly.
know.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Um, so where are they now? I looked them both up on social media. Kimberly, we mentioned this when Daniela got eliminated, but they make a lot of content together, so I think they're genuinely friends. That's really sweet. Um, Kimberly said she doesn't post about the show until the week after because she's like, a lot of my friends and family watch it like after it airs, like on Hulu later or whatever. So we don't have her take on it. But I dug through her social media. I found out that she was asked to audition. Like the casting directors like scouted her because of her gardening content.
Cool.
She made a post about how on one of the earlier challenges where she is on the balcony because she is safe from elimination, she's standing on one of the apple boxes that they give to the MasterChef Junior kids because she is so short and she wouldn't be over the railing otherwise.
Wow.
Yeah,
Didn't see that.
she's a tiny, tiny lady.
Movie magic. I mean,
Love
she was
that.
quite a character. I see why, they recruited her, like
hmm
her voice. And then, yeah, I didn't realize how short she was, but I guess that's kind of fun. And, the gardening stuff. I would be interested to actually check out her gardening content and see, like, how she does incorporate that with the food and everything. Cause I think that's a really fun, angle.
Yeah, yeah. Look, we all love a good farm to table restaurant. Show me that farm, baby. Her birthday was a couple weeks ago. Happy late birthday, Kimberly. I found out that she's a teacher and that her school district did like a bunch of stuff to celebrate her being on the show. That was cute.
Oh,
Yeah, because we don't have her take because she won't post it till next week. We don't know where she is like now, but she seems to be doing great. She's making her gardening content, still teaching, still tiny.
Good
Haley
teaching.
Haley just received her aprons in the mail this week, which I was like, I don't know what the timeline is of them mailing you your aprons from the show, but she posted like a story that was like hours ago when I was looking, and this was yesterday, I think, and she just got her aprons. Haley, surprisingly sparse social media presence. She kind of just does like lately it was like weekly posts about the episode of MasterChef and just a lot of like personal carousel posts about cooking and hanging out and playing cornhole. It's like how I treat social media, and I think I'm pretty bad at social media. I'm like, look, I know I should have a social media presence. I don't know what to post here. I'm just gonna put like what's going on in my life, and I think that's kind of what Haley does. So she's living her life, and we hope she's doing well.
I do want to see more cornhole though from her. This really opened up my mind about how that is a professional sport.
Yes. Once I remember in the audition episode when I heard that she was a professional cornhole player, I was like, could I be a professional cornhole player?
Yeah, I'm sure. Everyone. Yeah, it's like, well, sign me up. I can do a little underhand throw.
Yeah, I saw like a video of like a tournament, and that's when I kind of knew, and I was like, okay, yeah, this seems like a fun vibe.
I'm sure it's much more skill based than we think. I have watched professional darts. I mean, that's extremely difficult, but that is very funny.
High degree of accuracy with darts. Cornhole, it's a little more. It started as a drinking game. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be played with a beer in your hand, so it's like, I'm not saying it doesn't take skill, but it's easier than darts, I think.
Oh yeah,
seems less precise.
Iffy, what did you learn when you watched a video of a tournament?
Oh, that it is like all about being hyper precise and like tossing, tossing in and like making sure you can like nail it. Because for me, I thought the same thing. I was like, yeah, you just, whatever happens, happens. But it is wild to see that people, no, they really go for it. And they are accurate. And I'm like, okay, I didn't think that was possible, but it turns out it is.
Okay. You know what? Respect to the professional cornhole community. Yeah. The only person we didn't talk about that I want to talk about is Horacio, which is true of every episode. I always want to talk about Horacio. He said that his two sons-in-law are huge fans of Sean Evans. That's not worth any points because he didn't say I'm a huge fan, so I'm going to say no points there. Horacio made a chicken tikka masala and said that he's been to India more than 50 times because he had to go for work. He was Val wrote down for me, an executive for quality management in the auto industry for 36 years. So he traveled to India a lot, and I was kind of bummed he wasn't in the top or the bottom because I'm like, I want to see what that guy's chicken tikka masala tastes like.
Yeah, that's a lot of times.
Yeah, you would think that with that much travel, you're going to pick up something and learn how to do it well. But also, given Horacio's track record, I was like, my bar is really low, so I don't know if it's going to be really good or really bad.
Yeah. He was definitely, I mean, but that's an interesting past to learn about him, right? Like that he was kind of doing this pretty intense travel management job, going like, I guess maybe does that chaos in him, like, I don't know if I would feel comfortable working with someone who's that chaotic all the time, but maybe that's come up later in life, or maybe that actually worked for his position. Who knows? But
yeah. Maybe the other auto industry guys are like, oh, you want to get the deal done? You send in Horacio. That guy's going to drink him under the table and then close that deal.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like he is a very wild card human. And I feel like if you ever have a wild card friend and you're like, oh, what happens when they grow up? You're looking at it.
You're looking at it.
Yeah. He's got a lot of energy still. So, hopefully that doesn't wear off.
Yeah, he's living a vibrant life. Okay, let's do our points breakdown for the Hot Ones episode. As a reminder, you can find our scoring rules on our Instagram at TV Chef Fantasy League. So many points in this episode. The closer looks were Mert, Michael, and Adam. That's a half point each. The winner was Adam. That's 1 point. Adam and Haley both get a half point for saying they're big fans of Sean Evans. Michael doesn't cook with this a lot. That's a half point. Adam hasn't worked with Scotch bonnets before. That's a half point. And Warren makes this all the time, and he landed on the bottom. That is -1 point. A lot of movement there. We'll do the totals up at the end of this episode. But anything else we want to say before we move on to the next episode?
No, I don't think so.
All right, here we go. The next one is The Wall, which I feel like I should have mentioned this during the tag team challenge. I feel like is the other Restaurant Wars. I think it's a newer challenge than tag team challenge has been around, I think, since the beginning of MasterChef. The Wall's a little bit newer, but it similarly is like a fan favorite, and it causes so much chaos as we saw in this episode. I just want to know, Sierra, your initial reactions to the wall.
I mean, I think when they announced the wall challenge, it kind of brought a certain atmosphere to the contestants that was similar. It was like, oh, the wall, And I was excited. I kind of didn't really know what the like what exactly was going on because they dived right in, and I think I thought, well, it'll probably be fine, but also this is much more challenging, I think, than the tag team just conceptually. So I just assumed everybody was going to fuck it up pretty hard, but yeah, it was fun. It definitely brought some great moments, as we'll see.
Oh, so many great moments. Okay, so Iffy, the wall is literally like an 8-foot tall, 60-foot wide wall that goes right down the middle of the kitchen, and you and your teammate have to stand on opposite ends and cook identical dishes. They have to look the same and taste the same. And the only way to communicate with your partner is to scream at the top of your lungs.
It's so kind of like Overcooked, but
Yeah.
And
Okay.
like this wall must be somewhat thin because sometimes they're getting real close to it and like shouting through it.
Got it. Wild.
Yeah. So it's the wall episode. They say it's another double elimination, although they're not necessarily going to eliminate two people on the same team. So it could be any two people, just the worst two performers. Usually in the past, they're judging based on the fact that the dishes have to look and taste the same, but they also added this time they're judging based on the complexity and the quality of the dish. Everyone was sent to the pantry to go shopping, and they were given 5 minutes to shop and strategize with their team partner about what they were going to cook. But then after that 5 minutes, the pantry was closed, so there was no going back in for extra ingredients. Adam got the last advantage of the season. His advantage was he got to pick his teammate first, and I was kind of shocked. He picked Michael, who I'm not saying isn't a strong cook, but like not my top three. I would have thought for sure he would have picked anyone else, but he went to Michael. Yes, Sierra, were you thrown by that too?
A little bit. Well, it made me think, oh, Michael was in the top the time before, so maybe he was thinking of that, and and he's been in the top, but I think also I just felt like they do. I mean, ultimately in the episode, I don't think they did too great together, and we kind of learned that was because they're both kind of quiet, more soft spoken, so maybe it's harder for them to hear through the wall, but also like take charge. That being said, I think like I could see why maybe Adam was thinking Michael and him have similar personalities, so they would maybe work really well together because there wouldn't be as much like conflict, or he's just like, this is the kind of guy where I would like want to hang out with him or work with him,
Right.
So I felt like that felt right to me because they kind of seem like kindred spirits in that way. And then also maybe it made me think like there's, because Adam is Gen Z and like Michael's millennial, it's like maybe Adam had some beef with some of the other Gen Zers because he's been next to them the whole season. So there's stuff we haven't seen where he's like, yeah, these guys are kind of annoying me and I've been next to them this whole time. I'm going to go over here to Michael.
I love that angle. I love inferring behind the scenes drama.
We don't see everything.
We don't see everything. We only get the edit. So once Adam picks Michael, everyone else gets to pick their own teams. And here's what happens, Iffy. Rebecca and Horacio both go for Mert, which, again, shocking. I don't know why. Horacio, wild card. I don't know why Rebecca would go to Mert. Maybe because she knows she can push him around. I don't know. Mert goes to Becca. So Rebecca defaults to Kamei, which leaves Warren and Horacio kind of stuck together. And you can tell Warren is like, oh boy, here we go.
Truly,
So
everything is coming up Mert. Like it is wild.
Yeah. This double episode is good Mert content.
Yeah, Mert City. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's just talk about him team by team. Let's talk about Becca and Mert, because Mert went to Becca right away. Becca, obviously, I don't even have to say this, took the lead and was nervous about Mert being able to listen. They forgot the lemon for their chimichurri, or as Aaron Sanchez says, chimichurri. Big fan. I feel like if you made a drinking game out of this, you could definitely do one anytime Aaron Sanchez does the thing where he's like, taco, salsa, chimichurri.
Oh, hey, that was good.
Thank you.
I feel like that's very,
Oh,
good
yeah.
Aaron impression.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm all about this. This isn't I ain't playing games with y'all.
Right.
I know what I'm talking about.
He's all in.
I
know the
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna change back to the thing. So you go.
I was just gonna say there's an Asian comic, and I wish I could remember who, because then I could plug them. Someone comment and correct me. There's an Asian comic who has a bit about this where he's like, we all have like a Mexican friend who's like, hey man, it's not taco, it's taco. And he's like, if Asians did that, and then he does this whole thing about like, hey man, you want to get some bulgogi, you know? And
I don't know.
it's very, it's so
I
funny.
thought I would know the bit. Yeah, I don't know who you're
Yeah,
talking about.
I wish I
That's
could remember
funny.
who it was. Anyway, someone find it, send it in. Okay, Becca. Why am I getting lost so much? Okay, sorry. So they present a spice rubbed seared pork chop, sweet potato puree, roasted Brussels sprouts, flambéed red onions, and a chimichurri. Mert, before they take the cloches off, so they present their two dishes and they take the cloches off to see how similar they are. Mert is like, I am confident down to the pinch of salt that is going to look identical. And sure enough, they look fucking identical. I'm like kind of surprised at how well they pulled this one off. Gordon says it's like you were handcuffed to the same stove, and the dishes tasted good. They looked good. They tasted good. No real drama.
I don't get. I remember that handcuffed to the same stove comment, and it's like, okay. I don't think that really like says anything about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
identical nature. It'd be like, it's like you two are twins or something. Yeah, I don't
Right.
know, but so that was weird. But but all for
I
their
would have
success
to imagine that would make your dishes look worse because you're only working with one hand.
with one hand, right?
And you have to share a workspace.
Yeah.
But you just know it so well. You know
Yeah.
it so well. It's like nothing.
Yeah, exactly. On their way back from the judging, Kamei whispers, "You tamed the Mert," which I think is funny.
Oh, that was great. That was
Yeah.
great.
Great.
Also, the fact that, you know, everybody, because it was like her and Mert did tag team, and then Becca and Rebecca did tag team, and then had a bad experience. So the fact that they both like swapped essentially.
Yes. Yeah. It's I feel like that's a rom-com setup, you know what I mean? Is like two couples do a little wife swap and they're like, this is how it should have worked out. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Kamei and Rebecca. Here's the drama here, Iffy, is that at first Rebecca was like, Kamei, you can take the lead. You call the shots, I'll follow your orders. And then immediately goes back on that and starts telling Kamei what to do. And Kamei, I think very smartly, doesn't fight. She's just like, whatever, fine, I'll follow you. Sierra, how'd you feel about that?
Oh, yeah. That I was impressed with Kamei's ability to pivot in that moment. And, you know, obviously she was aware that like she felt like she was forced into doing this because Rebecca took over. And like, you know, we've seen Rebecca in team challenges, like she likes to be in charge. She's pretty good at it. But I think, yeah, obviously she should have called that from the beginning.
Yeah.
But I think she should have known, if she had known herself a little better, maybe she would have known, hey, listen, I got to lead.
Well, here's the thing is that like halfway through the cook, Gordon comes over and talks to Rebecca about it. She's like, you just can't help yourself, can you? And she's like, no, I can't. And I'm like, that
so she does know. That's right.
she knows. And that like, that's one of my specific pet peeves is like, you're not allowed to have a negative quality just because you own that negative quality. Do you know what I mean? Some people are like, well, you know me, I'm always late. And I'm like, you don't get to be late just because you're like, I'm always late. It's like, work on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
sure. It's like, if you're aware, then maybe that helps
fix it.
Move towards
yeah. It's the thing where they're like, oh, if I acknowledge it, it doesn't make it as bad. I was like, nah, it does make it bad. And it feels like it's like, oh, maybe we all know there should be a change.
Yeah. I would argue it makes it worse because it's like, okay, so we're on the same page. You're you're bad at this thing. Please try and be a better person.
Right. So yeah, I feel like she should have. And then also, you know, Kamei being somebody who like has kind of also been a leader in the past.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Her ability to, I guess, start that way and then realize like, hey, it's the best interest of both of us to let me just like take a step back here in the moment. Like that was pretty, I think, surprising. Like I thought maybe it would have been more of a butthead situation.
Yeah. I think everyone expected them to butt heads, but everyone kept their cool. It worked out. Kamei was not feeling confident going to the judging. She said that the plating was rushed. She followed Rebecca's directions to the best of her abilities. Kamei said, I feel like we communicated 90% well, but it's the 10% I'm worried about. So they presented a striped sea bass, sweet potato puree, asparagus, patty pan squash, okra, champagne herb vinaigrette. By the way, we found out in this episode that Joe doesn't like okra, which is much like Tom Colicchio. And I'm like, I guess this is a thing for bald Italian men in the industry. Yeah, to not like okra. But they turned out pretty identical. Joe, as a restaurateur, said, "Is it credible these two dishes could come up at the pass together at one of my restaurants?" And when I look at these two dishes, the answer is yes. He's like, "Do I believe these two could have been cooked by the same line cook?" Yes. And I was like, that's the insight I want from Joe. You know what I mean?
Only that, no more. Please
No
don't
more.
say any other shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Do that and stop.
Do that and stand behind a screen or hire a stylist. I don't know. The suit was atrocious.
Yeah, no, Val sent the actual screenshot of the suit and I am seeing it. I'm clocking it now and it is kind of reminding me that, yeah, I kind of did see that and think it was weird, but I think I fully blocked it from my memory.
Yeah, I'm seeing Val's text now. It's very funny. Okay. So Kamei and Rebecca do fairly well on their way back. Kamei just tiny dagger says, "See, I can follow. You're lucky I can follow," which she's right, but I was like, you could have not said that. You know what I mean?
It's good. It's good. It's good for TV.
It's great TV. Kamei is good TV. All right, let's move on to Warren and Horacio, which I wrote literally like a full page of notes here, but they're all kind of the same thing, which is like exactly what you expect. It's like Warren is doing his best and Horacio is just a ball of chaos.
It's so funny when Horacio was like yelling, because he's always yelling,
Always
anyway.
yelling.
And then
Yeah.
of course he has to yell even more because of the wall. And then like
Yes.
Michael was next to him, and Michael was like, "Shut up, Horacio, keep quiet," because he couldn't hear his own soft-spoken partner.
Yeah.
And it was just like so funny. But I think and then there's the moment when Warren was trying to like communicate through the wall and had his head in the little area kind of between the pans and the wall, and was just shaking his head. Oh God.
No.
Oh
like, God, no.
Oh God.
It was the most dramatic line reading of like, oh no.
Oh no. What have we done? What have we sewed? I know it was like they showed that on the out to the commercial. And then when they came back from the commercial, they showed it again. It was that good.
It's one of my favorite sound clips. I wish I had a soundboard so I could just have that at the ready at any point in time.
Oh my God.
No. Okay, let me try and run through as many moments as I can based on what I wrote down. They're in the pantry and they're strategizing for their 5 minutes, and Warren's like, "We're going to reduce the white wine," and Horacio says, "The white wine's going to reduce by itself," and Warren goes, "No, you got to put it on the fire." I don't know why Horacio thought that white wine just sitting in the open air would reduce itself. Anyway.
Evaporation.
Wild card.
Horacio forgot chicken stock. Warren had to throw it over the wall at him. Horacio threw back some polenta over the wall so that Warren could try it. And I'm like, he like rolled it up like Play-Doh and threw it. And I'm like, that's not a necessary step.
Yeah.
Horacio, okay. Warren said, "Score your trout." And Horacio scored his trout by slicing directly through the whole fillet of fish. I think that was what led to the "oh no," was like Warren.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Horacio was like, "I cut through the fish." And that was Warren's "oh no."
Yeah, he just cut. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it's there's just sometimes where, like I said, Horacio will pull out a dish where you're like, "Oh man, this guy can have it," and then sometimes Horacio will do something where you're like, "Have you ever been in a kitchen in your life?"
Yes. Okay, this leads me to one of the points for this episode is that Horacio said he's never made beurre blanc before, which is a half point. But so, okay, when they're strategizing, Warren goes, "Let's make a beurre blanc." And Horacio goes, "Okay." And then he does this talking head to the camera and he goes, "I've never made beurre blanc before and I didn't want to tell Warren that." And I was like, that's the kind of thing you should say.
So funny. Yeah. I don't know if it was that one where he was like, or there's somebody else where they're like, "I didn't want to make them nervous" or something, but it's like, yeah, you got to just say it up front so they can then walk you through the steps.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Or pivot.
But also, look, I'm not saying I could cook better than Horacio. He made it to the top 8, mostly by skating by in the middle, but like respect where respect is due. But I am like, if you're going to go on a cooking show, shouldn't you at least, I think, look, I'm not a chef either, but like, I think there's 5 or 6 mother sauces where everyone's like, these are like, all the sauces kind of go back to these. Beurre Blanc is one of them. So it's just like, shouldn't you know how to make the 4 most basic sauces in all of, the culinary kingdom? Shouldn't you know how to score a fish? Again, I'm not saying I'm better at it, but like, you're on a cooking show, man. Make a beurre blanc.
He does have weird things that, yeah, he can do really well. And then things
mhm.
that are just like, yeah, never doesn't even know the step one. So yeah, it
Yeah.
does seem like a
There was a
real,
bit there was a
yeah.
bit where, and this plays into the judging, he's pan frying endive, however you pronounce it, and the pan catches fire. He picks it up, blows out the fire, and then puts it right back on the same fire, and it catches fire again. And I'm like, this man is a living cartoon character. It's like
It's
watching
so
Mr.
good.
Bean, you know?
Right. And they paired that with like the other pair where they were like flambeing something. So they do need to
Yes.
fire, flame it up.
Yeah.
And then him were just like, no, his is just fires happening.
Accidental fire. Yeah. Yeah. Not great. The other quote I wrote was Warren saying, "In my dreams and in my nightmares, I still hear Horacio screaming." Okay, they present a crispy skinned trout, creamy polenta, pan roasted garlic asparagus, endive, and a tarragon beurre blanc. They present on two different plates. They're like, go with the bowl, and Horacio grabs one plate, and Warren grabs a different one. So they're not plated the same way at all. Gordon says he's never seen a beurre blanc with a polenta. It's heavy on heavy, and that was Warren's idea, so Warren made the mistake there. Horacio's beurre blanc completely broken, just oil. Horacio's polenta was stodgy, and Haron Sanchez says when the endives are flamed up like that, it's acrid and it tastes horrible. And also, don't put
Oh,
broken sauce on. So really, just tore him a new one, which is a bummer. And Joe ascribes it to a team problem more than anything else. He's like, what Warren should have done was strategize based on like what Horacio could do. Like, don't make your teammate do something they're not capable of doing, which is, I think, patronizing, but also true. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it would have helped, I think, if he was more honest about not knowing how to make that
Yeah.
sauce. But also, it
Yeah,
did.
because he could have got any information to do it.
Yes. Yeah.
And but after you reading that back, like what they made, it is more complicated than
It was a
necessary.
lot. It was a lot of components. Yeah. Definitely, you could have removed. You could have edited a little bit. Very sweetly, because we know that Warren is a flight attendant who speaks multiple languages. When they get back, Warren says, "All good, it's all good," in Portuguese to Horacio. I was like, "That's very sweet. God bless this man." Okay, and the last team, not a ton to say, was Michael and Adam. Michael took the lead. Adam, like we said, very quiet, not loud enough for the wall. The biggest drama was that Michael kept having to be like, "What?" They presented a pan-seared New York strip steak with honey beets, asparagus, red wine, and mushroom sauce. Adam's pan wasn't hot enough, so his sear on his steak wasn't as good as Michael's. It looked like a boiled steak. He had some unrendered, like white fat on his steak, so it was undercooked. The narrative was that Michael did good and Adam did bad. Um, so not definitely not the worst team, but not great. They go away to deliberate, and we catch Mert saying, "Man, they're really discussing it," which to me says they really were discussing it, because it's like at this point in the competition, everyone who's left has been through enough days on set to know what the production looks like. And when the judges are taking an extra long time, then it's like for them to call it out, it's like, I guess the judges were taking a long time.
Yeah, I feel like the narrative was like it might be Adam, like maybe if it's, clearly there's a worse team. So I was like, oh, well, it's gonna be both of them or it's gonna be one of them plus Adam. Probably.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on. But they announced the winners first. The winners were the blue team and the red team. That's Becca and Mert, of whom they said these are two of the closest dishes we've ever tasted during the wall challenge. And the red team, which was Kamei and Rebecca. At the bottom leaves the other two teams, Horacio and Warren, and Michael and Adam. And they decide that going home, and again, it could have been any two people, were Horacio and Warren, which means Adam
Wow.
was safe. Well, okay, Iffy, hit me with your reaction to that.
Whoa. You know, I this is a lot, a roller coaster of emotion here.
Mm-hmm.
Big old wins on
Mm-hmm.
my end, from a name I never thought I'd see as a winner.
Mm-hmm.
One of these eliminated names was one that I thought I'd see sooner, and
Mm-hmm.
all I can do is salute my boy Horacio for making it this long. That's all I could do.
I
Uh,
yeah, I feel the same way, where I'm like, I could get mad about it and be like, how do you make it to top 8? Cause like now he gets to put top 8 on his resume for the rest of his life. But also on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? Good for this guy. He's clearly not on the same level as the other contestants, but he made it this far, and good for him.
100%. Great job.
Great job, Horacio. This leaves Rebecca as the sole boomer left on the show now, since Horacio and Warren are both gone. Joe weirdly, Sierra, I don't know if you clocked this. Joe kind of got choked up on his like goodbye to them. He was a real like, this proves that age is just a number, and I think he was really sad to see both of them go. And I couldn't put my finger on why, because I'm like, he's not that old. Maybe he's just feeling particularly
Yeah.
wistful that day. I don't know, Sierra, did you catch that?
I did a little bit, but I was like, okay, maybe because this is, it's like almost more emotional with the boomer pair going home because like
Mhm.
it's so impressive that they went through
Yes.
this, and then
Yeah.
it's like just sort of about them. I don't know, I guess like, but then at the same time, I also was thinking it is much easier for them to take this quote unquote loss because they're like, yeah, I mean, this is awesome. I even came here and like I've done a million other things. So like who cares?
Yeah. Yeah,
So yeah.
I'll touch on where are they now in a second, but in one of Warren's social media posts, there was like a snippet from an interview that he did, and he talks about that where he's like, if you forget plating something, he's like, at my age, you don't really worry about that anymore. You're kind of just like, well, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I have to serve this now. So I think, yeah, they both had that element of like, I'm just grateful to have made it this far.
Yeah. And they said what Warren was like the oldest contestant ever.
Yeah. I think, yeah,
Pretty
the oldest
impressive.
person to get an apron in MasterChef history.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Which I guess means there might have been
Wow.
an older person who auditioned but didn't get an apron. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, the oldest person to ever compete. So good for them. Okay, where are they now? I would summarize, look, when I say where are they now, I don't do a deep dive Google search. I do like 20 seconds looking at their social medias. And I think that Warren and Horacio both have a social media presence that I would describe as boomer chaotic. Does that make sense?
No.
Do you already kind of know what I mean when I say that?
I think,
Very much so.
but yeah, the fact that they even have an Instagram, impressive.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Warren has two social media accounts. Do not know why. But they both come
Finsta.
up. Yes, but like one isn't private. He just has two. Like maybe he forgot the password to one and just made a second one. I don't know. He has two. A lot of his posts were like a picture, but the picture was uploaded as like a video with no sound. So after staring at the picture for like 10 seconds, it just like goes blank. You know what I mean?
Love it.
And a lot of his posts are also, you know how like your iPhone will just generate a slideshow where it's just like travel through the years. He'll post those on his main. So very, very boomer chaos. I did learn that Warren is on Cameo, and for starting at $39, you can get a message from Chef Warren.
Love that.
As of when I was looking at his social media yesterday, he made crepe Suzette yesterday, just because he was like, they said I did this well on the show. Here's how I made it. His life generally looks beautiful. He was like grilling next to a gazebo. He was on a huge lawn. I was like, this is the life that I want when I'm his age. You know what I mean? I could not find any evidence of culinary school. When he got eliminated, Warren was like, I'm going to enroll in culinary school. I couldn't find any shots or mention of culinary school, so I don't know if he hasn't done it yet or if he did it in secret.
I wonder if he has to wait because of like spoiler things. And they're like, well, since everyone's probably not going to watch at the same time, you don't get to really post about that.
Yeah.
Too late.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Okay. So let's hope that in the next couple of weeks we start seeing Warren be like, here I am at culinary school, which would be amazing. Horacio, okay. Most of his posts are most of his posts on main on the grid are reposts of stories that he posted wherein he tagged himself. And so if he does like 6 stories in a row that all have like kind of the same thing, they're just like a continuation. He just has 6 posts on main that all kind of look exactly the same. They all have like a billion hashtags, multiple posts per day. One of them said it was written with AI, like explicitly. So I'm like, it's again, once again, boomer chaos. I really hope his grandkids look at his social media and just go like, Grandpa, we're gonna help you out with this. He did make a very inspiring goodbye post for his fellow boomers. He's like, I'm really proud of myself. And for all you people who are my age out there, like, age is just a number. It's never too late. Follow your dreams. I was like, this is very sweet. His kids seem to be really proud of him. He reposted a story from his daughter, who, by the way, I clicked on her bio and it said that she was raised in China. And I was like, did Horacio spend time in China or did he send her
Oh.
off to China? I don't know.
Raised in China.
Yeah, it was like Brazilian, raised in China, lives in LA now. Horacio lives in LA, by the way. He always posts like going on long walks, like Santa Monica Pier, like on the west side. He likes to golf. Horacio seems to be doing great. I think
Pretty
that,
nice.
yeah, Horacio and Warren both give the impression that like they're truly living the best like boomer life. They're like retired and hanging out with their families, and their lives look beautiful, and I'm so happy for them. But they do need a crash course in social media. Okay. The preview for next week. Next week is going to be our restaurant takeover. Although, I mean, look, we can talk more about this next week, but I feel a little bit cheated because it looks like it's a pop-up restaurant. Usually they're like, we're going to bring you to one of Chef Gordon Ramsay's restaurants and you're going to actually serve people. And this one, it was like, we're on a rooftop and the walls are made of plywood. And it was like, that's not a real restaurant. You know what I mean? What happened there? Anyway, let's do the points breakdown for this episode. There were no closer looks. The winners were Becca, Mert, Kamei, and Rebecca. That is 1 point each. And Horacio gets a half point for saying he's never made beurre blanc before. So at the end of this week, Iffy, you gain 3 points, which I think is one of your highest gainages this season. 3 points in 1 week. How do you feel?
Go.
Let's go. All right,
December.
short and sweet.
Let's go.
Yeah,
3 points.
yeah.
Let's go. We're doing it big. It's a
Perfect.
marathon, not a race.
Yes, exactly. Slow and steady. Sierra, you gain 1 point. You had 2, but then you lost 1 with Warren saying, he makes this all the time and he landed in the bottom. I'm so sorry. That is I think your smallest point gainage this season, but you needed to be slowed down anyway. Let's be honest.
Sure.
I gain 3.5 points, and that's mostly from Adam, who got me a shit ton of points in the Hot Ones episode for like being in the top and having never worked with Scotch bonnets before. So, thank you, Adam. Our current leaderboard as it stands, Iffy, you're still in last place, but with 11.5 points. I'm right in the middle with 14 points. Sierra, you're still in the lead, but only with 19 points. So we're all, the gaps are closing. We've got a real game on our hands
coming
now.
up. Big weeks.
Yeah, I also lost Warren.
Yes.
So I'm down to only, I think, Becca and Michael.
Yes. And so I think Becca's going to be your big, prize winning horse there. Because I don't have a ton of faith in Michael to make it the finale. He could surprise me. Either way, whoever makes it the finale is getting big points. And so this really is kind of anyone's game. Folks, this is a reminder that we are part of the Maximum Fun Network, which means we are an audience-supported show. If you like our show, head to MaximumFun.org/join. That is where you can support us directly for $5 or more per month. It would mean the world to us. Thank you so much. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, you can drop us a line on Instagram at TV Chef Fantasy League or send us an email at chef@MaximumFun.org. If you're doing your own MasterChef Fantasy League, or if you're prepping for your Great British Bake Off Fantasy League, please tag us, let us know. We love hearing about it. Once again, for full unedited episodes, you can check us out on YouTube. Thanks again to my co-hosts, Sierra Kato and Iffy Wadiwe. We will be back next week. Bye-bye. TV Chef Fantasy League is a Maximum Fun production. Our producer is Valerie Moffat. Our theme song is by Dylan Van Auken. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at TV Chef Fantasy League.